Good evening, dear aspirants. Welcome to Bajirao IAS Academy Daily News Analysis. So today is 19th September 2024, and in this session we have some important articles, and we'll try to discuss all these articles in a very detailed manner. And before starting this discussion, you all knew that yesterday we have a prelims practice question, and the question was: trade and economic partnership agreement is sometimes seen in news in the context of negotiations between India and which of the following organizations. Remember, this is very important because previously also we have discussed this trade and economic partnership agreement with European countries several times. So therefore the correct answer for this question is European Free Trade Association. D is the correct answer for this particular question. And if you look at this explanation is very short and concise, and in fact all these four countries which are part of this European Free Trade Association are not part of the European Union. So therefore India decided to deal with these countries to further strengthen, to further enhance trade and commerce and other ties with these four countries in Europe. So the agreement that is between India and these countries is European Free Trade Association, was signed a trade and economic partnership agreement. So this was a trade and economic partnership agreement that India has signed with European Free Trade Association, so particularly to boost trade, commerce, investment prospects in India, because all these countries have a lot of potential and they have a lot of technology, particularly in the areas of sanitation, hygiene, food processing. So therefore all these areas are very, very important for India. And this economic European Free Trade Association consists of four countries such as Iceland and Liechtenstein, Norway, Switzerland. And in fact, as I have already told you, that these countries have been operating alongside European Union but outside its customs union, right? So today also we have one more important prelims practice question. The question is: arrange the following places from west to east. And Middle East is very important region for UPSC. So every year there is at least one question in UPSC prelims based on the geography of the Middle East. So therefore you have to be very, very clear about the geography and the location of countries, location of different places within Middle East. Countries are Lebanon, Cyprus, Iran and Jordan. So select the correct answer for code. So arrange these countries from west to east. So try to answer this question in the comment section, and a correct answer, so we will appreciate those answers, and we will also correct you in case if you have not answered this question in a correct manner. And let's get into the discussion. We have a first very important article, which is simultaneous elections. And simultaneous elections is also known as one nation, one poll. I hope all of you have some basic idea about this one nation and one election or one poll, so which is known as a simultaneous elections or simultaneous polls, because this government, NDA government, has committed to implement this simultaneous polls or one nation, one elections from this term itself. And in fact Ramnath Kovind panel was appointed to look into the feasibility of conducting simultaneous polls. And Ramnath Kovind committee, so Ramnath Kovind was former vice president of India, and this panel has also submitted recommendations over the feasibility of conducting elections, simultaneous elections across India. And let's get into the discussion. So when I say simultaneous polls or simultaneous elections, I will try to explain this very briefly. Now if you look at India, we have a federal or we have a federation, right? So we have a federation, and in this federation the powers are leaned towards the center, right? So in this context, central government has a government, and state governments also have their own governments, and they have their respective jurisdiction and the subjects to deal with. But if you look at the election cycles in India, the general elections are conducted once in a 5 years, and apart from general elections we also have elections to the state legislative assemblies. So around we have 28 state legislative assemblies, so if I'm not wrong. So it is not possible as of now to conduct elections for the Lok Sabha as well as 28 state legislative assemblies at once, right? So because of the multiple reasons which have been existing. But under the simultaneous elections agenda, the central government decided to conduct Lok Sabha elections and all state legislative assembly elections, so once in a 5 years at one single go. So that is the basic idea of simultaneous polls. However, conducting simultaneous polls in a country where we have a functional democracy, but we could say that a complex democracy, it is not that easy to conduct simultaneous elections. So in this context, we'll try to discuss this, what center has been saying with respect to the simultaneous elections. So we would also look into some basic details about the simultaneous elections. The Union Cabinet has accepted high level committee, and as I have already told you, this high level committee was headed by the former President of India, Ramnath Kovind, and Union Cabinet has approved the high level committee's recommendations regarding one nation, one elections. So particularly for holding simultaneous elections for the Lok Sabha as well as state legislative assemblies and even local bodies also, panchayats and municipalities, in a phased manner after the countrywide consensus building exercise. Now what is this consensus building exercise? So this is an exercise where different political parties, different stakeholders who are involved in the election process, who are involved in the election cycle, they come together and they decide on conducting the simultaneous elections, and which this particular exercise or this particular process is known as the consensus building exercise. Right, I hope you are clear up to this point. And what is this one nation and one election? So I have already explained this very briefly to you. So what does one nation, one election means for this country? And one nation, one election or simultaneous polls is a proposal, and this particular proposal aims to conduct elections, simultaneous elections or elections for Lok Sabha and state legislative assemblies at a one single go, once in a 5 years. So that a lot of disadvantages which are existing in terms of conducting elections for different state legislative assemblies at a different points of times, because when I say disadvantages, we have the model code of conduct, right? So model code of conduct. Now when model code of conduct is in force, it is not possible to the government to announce new welfare schemes. It also hampers the regular functioning of the government. So therefore, at any part of the country, model code of conduct is regularly in force, because different state legislative assembly elections are taking place at a different points of time. Because the example would be Haryana election, state legislative assembly elections are going to take place. So therefore a model code of conduct is one disadvantage, and regular deployment of the security personnel, and the country is always in the election mode, and that would not be good for any democracy. So this election process or casting vote should be done like a festival once in a 5 years. So that would further enhances trust and confidence of the voters, and voters also enthusiastic when it comes to casting their vote. And at the same time, the overall voter turnout will also improve substantially, significantly. So all these are the benefits of conducting simultaneous polls, and because of that reason, and also don't forget to reduce the expenditure on the elections. So because of all these different benefits, the center has decided to conduct simultaneous polls because of its great advantages. And it is also in line with maintaining the unity and integrity of this nation, right? So this synchronized system of conducting elections for Lok Sabha and state legislative assemblies would be expected to streamline the election process in India, and also it is expected to reduce the frequency of elections across India. So remember, as I have already told you that different parts of the country elections are regularly taking place, right? So because of vote of no confidence or government lack of majority, and even the expiry of the term of one single government state legislative assembly, so everywhere these elections have been regularly taking place. So in order to get over this election mode, so in order to conduct elections once in a 5 years, so this simultaneous polls proposal was brought into the picture. So until 1967, this synchronization between Lok Sabha elections and state legislative elections was held, but after 1967, so this kind of a simultaneous polls were never held, right? So until 1967, independent India had witnessed 4 simultaneous elections as of now. So this is very important, you just remember this as of now. So independent India held 4 simultaneous elections for the parliament and state legislative assemblies, but after that there are multiple reasons, right? So because of those multiple reasons, these simultaneous elections were never held. And there are some important recommendations and reports from different bodies or different organizations with respect to the simultaneous elections or conducting simultaneous elections. So let's have a look into those reports and the recommendations. So in fact, Election Commission of India first suggested this simultaneous elections, the proposal of simultaneous elections, way back in the year 1983 itself. And in fact, it was further reiterated, or it was further supported by the Law Commission's report in the year 1999 under BP Jeevan Reddy. So therefore, a simultaneous elections proposal has the go ahead from all these bodies or the organizations. And in fact, the subsequent discussions that were held by the parliamentary committees in the year 2015 and even Law Commission's draft report in 2018, so they also explored the possibility of conducting simultaneous elections. So how feasible conducting simultaneous elections in a complex democracy like ours? So though the later has concluded that the parliamentary committees have concluded that the current constitutional framework does not support conducting simultaneous elections. So therefore, in this context, so the parliamentary committees have recommended to conduct but they are in favor of conducting simultaneous elections, but the existing constitutional framework is not supporting such a framework. So therefore, there is a need for amending the constitution. So what are the constitutional articles or the provisions that we need to amend so that we could conduct the simultaneous elections? So we could look into that subsequently. Okay, so certain amendments were required to conduct simultaneous polls, or to make sure that there is a proper synchronization of conducting Lok Sabha elections and state legislative assembly elections. So for that, Article 83 of the Indian Constitution and Article 172 of the Indian Constitution, so these two constitutional articles have to be amended to conduct the simultaneous polls. And this amendment to these different articles was recommended by the special committee on conducting simultaneous elections, or this is also known as Ramnath Kovind committee, right? So to ensure that the simultaneous elections do not conflict with the constitution, because once they come in conflict with the constitution, of course Supreme Court would use its power of judicial review and would declare such simultaneous elections or conducting simultaneous elections as ultra vires or unconstitutional. So because of that reason, so Ramnath Kovind committee has recommended to amend Article 83 and Article 172 of the Indian Constitution. So therefore, they will be no tussle or no conflict between simultaneous elections and also the Constitution of India. So when we talk about Article 83 of the Indian Constitution, Article 83 specifically talks about, or it governs, the term of Lok Sabha. And as of now, what is the term of Lok Sabha? Which is 5 years. And Article 173 of the 72 of the Indian Constitution, so Article 172 of the Indian Constitution covers the tenure of the state legislative assemblies, and as of now, state legislative assemblies in India are also enjoying a tenure of 5 years. And in fact, the special committee on simultaneous elections headed by Ramnath Kovind has also recommended, or has also suggested, that a one-time transitory measure to synchronize all elections, and even proposed when Lok Sabha is constituted after the general elections. And the president would by notification on the same date as that of the first sitting bring into force the provision for the transition. So this is what the Ramnath Kovind committee has recommended with respect to conducting simultaneous polls, and this would be called the appointed date, right? So these were the recommendations of the Ramnath Kovind committee. And if you want additional details, you could also go through these additional details, and you could also mention some of these details in your mains answer, because remember, simultaneous polls is one topic which is very important from your mains perspective. So therefore you have to write best points in your answer to score good marks in such an answer. So first and foremost, you just have to try to understand what are these simultaneous elections, what are the benefits, what are the advantages and disadvantages of such simultaneous polls. So if you look at the advantages of simultaneous elections, there are a wide variety of advantages. For example, when we conduct all elections at the general elections at the Lok Sabha and state legislative assemblies elections for all the states, so all elections concurrently would save a significant resources spent on separate state and national elections. So when I say resources, it is with respect to the expenditure or finances which are being used to conduct elections, and electoral voting machines and VVPAT machines, and even deployment of security forces into the sensitive areas. So not just deployment of security forces and even administrative staff, and code of conduct is being regularly enforced across different parts of India, and code of conduct would prevent the normal functioning of the government with respect to announcement of welfare schemes and alls, and country will always be in an election mode, and that would also weaken the trust and the confidence, and voters will not be that much enthusiastic when it comes to participation in the elections. Because of all these challenges, the center and other expert groups have been suggesting holding simultaneous elections, and that would be the best proposal as of now. And another very important advantage with respect to conducting simultaneous elections is that it would streamline the electoral calendar, and it would also eliminate the frequent disruptions due to elections in different states or elections across different states. And what are the disadvantages with respect to conducting elections? So coordinating elections at various levels, state level, or at the national level, state level, and even local level poses a logistical challenges, right? Because we may not be having a lot of EVMs and electoral voting machines and VVPAT machines to conduct elections on such a huge scale. And what about ensuring security of all these polling stations across the country? And we have to deploy all these security forces across the country, and that would lead to compromising national security at the border areas. So there are a lot of logistical and administrative issues that would pose significant disadvantages for conducting simultaneous elections. And second important disadvantage for conducting simultaneous elections is that these simultaneous polls could very often favor the nationally dominant parties over the regional ones, and that would potentially undermine the concept of federalism or the principle of federalism. And this is another area, and that has to be looked into, but we are not very clear. So until and unless there is a chance of conducting a simultaneous elections in India, so we cannot say that voters would favor the national political parties over the regional political parties. So it has to be seen, but this is being evident from the fact that till 1967 the political system in India is called as one party dominant system, right? So one party dominant system. So this one party dominant system is the Congress system. And because of that reason, there is a pessimistic view about conducting simultaneous elections, that these simultaneous elections would favor one single dominant party at the national level, and that would lead to the sidelining of the regional political parties and also the regional issues as well, right? So this is some details with respect to one nation and one elections, and I hope you have understood this concept or this process of conducting simultaneous elections. And next we have another important editorial which is given in the Hindu newspaper, which is the fourth summit of Quad at Wilmington, right? So when we talk about the Quad as a regional grouping, I hope all of you have the basic idea about the quadrilateral security dialogue. So Quad essentially means quadrilateral security dialogue, and the members of the Quad grouping including Australia, India, Japan and the United States. So the primary reason for the formation of the Quad in the Indo-Pacific region is that to ensure that the rules-based order in the region is protected from the assertive and aggressive postures of some countries in the region. So that is the basic objective of establishing Quad as a grouping, right? So we cannot say that Quad is a security alliance or it is a military alliance, because India is not in favor of establishing organizations, establishing groupings against any other third country. Rather, all these countries are having the common vision and shared interests, so and they are determined to ensure free, open and inclusive and even rules-based Indo-Pacific. And India is one of the like-minded country, and India is also having a lot of interest and a lot of stakes in the Indo-Pacific region, particularly in the Indian Ocean region. So because of that reason, India has joined with these countries to form the quadrilateral security dialogue. So the leaders of Quad, including Australia, India, Japan and the United States, so they are going to convene the fourth Quad summit, and which is going to be held in United States, particularly a place called Wilmington, Delaware. So this is the place where the fourth Quad summit is going to be held. And in fact, why this Quad summit, the fourth Quad summit, which is going to be held in Wilmington, US, is very significant, because this is a very important and very significant. This has been taking place in the backdrop of pressing global challenges which have been existing. Now when I say the pressing global challenges, what would you say? The Russia-Ukraine war and Israel-Hamas conflict and the piracy problem and even threatening the sea lanes of communication, Chinese aggressiveness in the Indo-Pacific region. So you could mention those pressing global challenges. And climate change is a pressing global challenge, terrorism is also a global challenge, but what are the immediate challenges that the Quad would address is the key question that we have to look into. And in fact, across the world there are also significant leadership transitions, so that could take place in the member countries. Now when I say the significant membership transitions, so as of now in India we have the political stability, but when it comes to Japan, there is no proper political stability. Prime Minister regularly change in Japan, and even US also very soon elections are going to take place. And from Republicans, Donald Trump is fighting the elections, and from Democrats, Kamala Harris is fighting against Donald Trump. So therefore there will be a significant leadership transitions in these member countries of the Quad grouping. So the Quad fourth summit aiming to consolidate the Quad's strategic direction before these changes could take place across the member countries. And as of now, so if you look at the leadership dynamics which are existing, which are prevalent within the Quad member countries, so it is scheduled to be held in India. The fourth Quad summit is scheduled to be held in India, but due to some reasons, so this particular host country of Quad fourth summit is changed back to the United States. Okay, so because of some practical reasons, so this has been shifted back to the United States. So particularly to allow a smoother engagement amid Biden's busy election cycle, and at the same time his recent G20 attendance to India, right? Because whenever such Quad summits are being held, all the leaders from different countries would come to the host country, and they would take part in the Quad grouping discussions and debates. But because of Biden's election cycle in back in USA, so it was decided to conduct the fourth Quad summit in USA itself. And in fact, this summit is also very significant, and because of one reason. So the reason was it set against the United Nations General Assembly meeting. Okay, so it's set against the UN General Assembly's backdrop, and therefore it has been emphasizing on shaping international responses to contemporary global challenges or global issues which have been existed, and the world has been confronted with such issues. For example, food security is a challenge, and climate change is a challenge, terrorism is a challenge, piracy is a challenge, and the existing wars between different countries and involvement of non-state actors. All these are the major challenges where the Quad group of countries would like to engage with other countries to further enrich their debates and discussions over these contemporary global issues. The summit is pivotal, or we could say that it is very important, very significant, because as it responds to increasing threats in the Indo-Pacific region. Because as of now, if you look at the Indo-Pacific region, there is increasing assertiveness and aggressive behavior of China. So therefore, it is taking place in the backdrop of increasing assertiveness and aggressiveness of China's behavior, and also ongoing conflicts. I hope you knew about these ongoing conflicts, so which have been taking place, and therefore it has been emphasizing on Quad's role of regional stability and also the strong economic resilience, and that is the need of the hour. Because Quad countries coming together, they focusing on the area of military cooperation, technology transfer, manufacturing, and also different areas that they have been focusing on. Okay, so however, Quad group of countries have certain areas to focus more on. So those areas are strategic focus areas. So what are those strategic focus areas? So the key agenda of this Quad summit, the fourth Quad summit, which is going to take place in US, would be on Quad's framework of maritime domain awareness, right? So MDA is maritime domain awareness. Now, maritime domain awareness is a very important awareness. So why it is very important, particularly because of the few reasons that the piracy which has been existing, threatening the important sea lanes of communication. Not just piracy, but also the non-state militant groups, the non-state actors, we could say actors, non-state actors such as Houthis and Houthis based on Yemen, and even Hamas and Hezbollah. They are threatening the important sea lanes of communication and humanitarian assistance and disaster relief. So in all these different areas, it is very important that this maritime domain awareness has to be substantially increased, and Quad has a framework with respect to the maritime domain awareness, and this maritime domain awareness is very important for ensuring regional security and further strengthening or ensuring the supply chain resilience, and also further promoting the technology initiatives that these countries have already launched. So following July 2024 expansion to the Indian Ocean region, and in fact the fourth Quad summit will also explore different other areas also, particularly launching Quad Maritime Legal Dialogue under Quad Maritime Security Working Group. So it has been aiming to consolidate expertise in international maritime law for the benefit of the member states and also the broader region. So therefore, operationalizing the South Asia program through India's Information Fusion Center or Indian Ocean region, so it is expected to further enhance real-time information sharing among the Quad partners and also promoting a free and open Indo-Pacific region. So ultimately, as I have already emphasized, that the Quad grouping's overall objective is to ensure free, open, and inclusive Indo-Pacific. So inclusive Indo-Pacific region, right? So free from the aggression and assertive behavior of certain countries in the region, and India is also having a lot of interest over all this area, and that's why India has also been facing a lot of threats from China, and because of that particular reason, India has joined this Quad grouping. And next important article, this is also very important, that Cabinet recently approves Bharat Antariksh Station. So used Union Cabinet has approved the development of the first module of the Bharat Antariksha Station. So this Bharat Antariksha Station is also known as BAS-1 by expanding the scope of the Gaganyaan program, right? So Bharat Antariksha Station is essentially means that Indian space station. As of now, we have International Space Station, and apart from International Space Station, China has also been building a space station actively, and now it is functional. And apart from that, Russia is also planning to build an International Space Station. But if India builds an Indian Space Station or Bharatiya Antariksha Kendra by the targeted year of 2035, India is going to be the third country to have its own space station. So therefore, ISRO and the Indian government and other stakeholders have been engaging very closely to have Indian space station by the targeted year of 2035, and this would be the first step from the Indian government to achieve this feat. So this is known as the Bharatiya Antariksha Station's first module. So therefore, expanding the overall scope of the Gaganyaan program. I hope you all knew about this Gaganyaan program. So Gaganyaan program is a human space flight program, right? So human space flight. So through Gaganyaan program, so India wanted to send its Vyomanauts into the space, and particularly into the low Earth orbit. So thereby India has been planning to demonstrate its capacities or its capabilities of sending humans to space. So once this Gaganyaan program is successful, India would become the fourth country to successfully send humans into the space after US, Russia and China. So this particular decision of the Union Cabinet marks a crucial step or a very important step towards establishing India having its own space station by the year 2035, and it also paves the way for a crewed lunar mission by the year 2040. So crewed lunar mission especially means that sending Indians into the surface of the moon and bringing them back to Earth safely, right? So we have several ambitious programs, and this would be the first step in that ambitious program. So Gaganyaan program, we all knew that it was approved way back in the year 2018, and as I have already explained that this Gaganyaan program aimed at sending humans into the low Earth orbit, and it also lays the foundation of technologies which are needed for a human space exploration. For example, if we wanted to build an Bharatiya Antariksha Kendra by the year 2035, if we wanted to have the space flight programs to moon or even to Mars, so we should certainly have the capabilities of sending humans into the space, and those capabilities would be achieved or demonstrated through the Gaganyaan program, which was operationalized or which was approved in the year 2018. And this revised Gaganyaan program now encompasses 8 missions to be completed by December 2028. So this 8 missions, the Gaganyaan mission includes this Bharatiya Antariksha Kendra 1 as well, right? So this expansion of this particular Gaganyaan program also involves additional uncrewed missions, and also it involves hardware requirements to support the ongoing human spaceflight initiatives. The total funding which is being earmarked for this particular program of Gaganyaan has been increased to 20,193 crore with an additional allocation of 11,170 crore to accommodate the expanded scope of this Gaganyaan program. Remember that this Bharatiya Antariksha Kendra or Station Bharatiya Antariksha Station Unit 1 is going to be part of the expanded Gaganyaan program, and these are the financial allocations from the government to such a program. So the program also aims to develop or even demonstrate the critical technologies or India's existing capabilities for long duration human spaceflight missions, and which are fundamental, which are very crucial for Indians, for sending Indians into the space. So with 4 missions under the ongoing Gaganyaan program, which are scheduled to be held by 2026, followed by the developments of the Bharatiya Antariksha Station 1 module, and 4 additional missions for the technology demonstration and validation by the year 2028. And what is the significance of Bharati Antariksha Kendra or Antariksha Station? So we have to understand the significance as well. So Bharati Antariksha Station is expected to boost the microgravity based research, because remember that we all knew that in these space stations in the low Earth orbit there is zero gravity. So microgravity based scientific research is also very important, so because that would provide crucial insights into the next space flight programs. So therefore this would aid in conducting research, and it would also help in technology development, and it would also foster in innovations in the key areas as well. So this initiative is also anticipated to generate or increased employment opportunities in high technology sectors related to space and allied industries. So beyond its technological and scientific objectives of this Gaganyaan program or Bharati Antariksha Station by the year 2035, the expanded program aims to inspire India's youth to pursue careers in the area or in the field of science and technology, thereby offering unique opportunities in microgravity research and development as well. And the resulting innovations of this Gaganyaan program and Bharati Antariksha Station, resulting innovations in technological spin-offs are expected to benefit the society at large, and these private sector would also be encouraged in a large scale, and whatever technological innovations and spin-off benefits would also be transferred to the private sector, so thereby positioning India as a leading nation in space exploration and research. The cabinet has also approved Chandrayaan 4 mission to Moon and to the Venus orbiter Moon to Earth's mysterious twin. So this is what is these are some of the decisions of the cabinet with respect to having expanding the Gaganyaan program, and also having this international space station by the year. So sorry, not international space station, but Bharati Antariksha Station by the year 2035, and also sending a crewed mission to the surface of the Moon by the year 2040. And next important article, so this is a government initiative which was launched by the Union Cabinet, and in fact as part of this government program, so this government program is Pradhan Mantri Annadata Aay Sanrakshan Abhiyan, which is in short is known as PM Asha scheme. So a Union Cabinet has approved the continuation of Pradhan Mantri Annadata Aay Sanrakshan Abhiyan scheme, thereby allocating around 35,000 crore for the 15th Finance Commission cycle extending until 2025 to 26. So this was the decision of the Union Cabinet. Now we'll try to understand what is this Pradhan Mantri Annadata Aay Sanrakshan Yojana scheme or PM Asha scheme, right? So this particular PM Asha is an umbrella scheme, and that ensures minimum support prices for the farmers. So for farmers minimum support prices are very important, because it encourages and incentivizes the farmers to take up agriculture on a large scale, and it also ensures food security, and it also benefits farmers from the the fluctuations of prices in the markets as well. So overall MSP protects the farmers from the lower prices in the markets. So therefore providing MSPs to the farmers is one of the priority of the government, right? So PM Asha is considered as an umbrella scheme, and this would ensure minimum support prices to farmers for various crops which are being produced. And this PM Asha scheme comprises of the erstwhile price support scheme, and if you want some details with respect to the price support scheme, you could go through this price support scheme, so with certain modifications, and also rolling out new schemes such as this price deficiency payment scheme, and also private procurement and stockist scheme. Now when I say the price support scheme, the fiscal procurement of the pulses, oil seeds and copra is done by the central nodal agencies such as the Food Corporation of India, and other central nodal agencies will procure so all these items that we have just discussed, along with the state governments, and central government bear the procurement expenditure and losses due to the procurement up to 25% of the production as per the price support scheme. And there is also price deficiency payment scheme, and also pilot of private procurement and stockist scheme. And under a price deficiency payment scheme, so it will cover all oilseeds for which MSP is not notified. Remember, MSP is not being provided for all the crops. So as of now, only 22 crops are being provided MSP. So therefore, it will cover all oilseeds for which MSP is notified. Farmers will get direct payment of the difference between MSP and the selling price in the market. And there is also another scheme, private procurement and stockist scheme. So participation of private sector in procurement operation to be piloted for oilseeds. So states have the option to roll out these schemes on pilot basis in selected districts and agriculture produce market committees involving the private stockist. Right. So today we have one important mains practice question. So this is very important with respect to the general studies paper 3, environment and ecology, right? So because in general studies paper 3 we have environment and ecology as a section. So therefore, this is important. The question is, mangroves hold crucial resources that can help protect the rich and diverse biosphere, and nature-based solutions offer a holistic and sustainable approach to protect mangroves in India. So analyze. Okay. So this is a question which is about the mangroves and the importance of the mangroves for an ecosystem. So the approach is that first and foremost, you have to introduce the state of mangrove forest conservation in India, and then discuss ecological services which are provided by the mangroves, and then discuss the threats to mangrove forest, both natural threats and also the anthropogenic threats, and conclude the answer by writing a way forward. So this is how you need to structure this answer. So in the introduction, you just briefly gave the state of mangrove conservation in India. So we all knew that mangroves are located in Sundarbans and across different coastal parts of India. Rann of Kutch and Sundarbans are known as the potential hotspots of these mangroves. So mangroves are littoral plant formations which are found in the tropical and subtropical sheltered coastlines. And in fact, mangroves also exhibit a remarkable capacity or a distinct feature, a distinct characteristic of saltwater tolerance, or they thrive in the salt water, and they can also withstand the strong wind velocity in the case of cyclones, and even they can also withstand varying heights of tides and also the higher temperatures which are existing in the tropical regions. So examples of mangrove plantations include Rhizophora, Avicennia and Bulgaria, etc. The examples of these mangrove forests. So in India, the total mangroves is about 4,975 square kilometers as per the latest State of the Forest Report 2019. Now, what are the ecological services which are being provided by these mangroves? Mangroves enhance the natural recycling of nutrients. So, because natural recycling of nutrients is very important, and these mangroves are located in the wetlands, and these nutrients also help other important flora and fauna. So natural recycling of nutrients would be done by the mangroves, and mangroves also supports numerous flora, avifauna and wildlife, and because of that reason, mangroves are very important areas for protecting or also strengthening the existing biodiversity of an area. And mangroves also provide safe and pure rural environment for breeding, spawning and even rearing several fishes, and they also supply wood, firewood, medicinal plants, edible plants to local people. So these are the number of ecological benefits, ecological services that the mangroves have been providing. And mangroves also provide employment opportunities to the local communities. They also provide livelihood options for the local communities. How they would provide livelihood options? By practices such as fishing and honey collection. So these are the important areas of livelihood or employment generation for the local. Now when I say employment, tourism is another potential area where it creates a large scale employment opportunities for different sectors. So apart from that, there are certain natural factors or the natural forces which have been leading to the destruction or degradation of the existing mangrove ecosystem. So sea level rise in the coastal areas where mangroves are mostly located do not keep pace with the changing sea level and also fall. So this is one area where mangroves have been facing a lot of threats, and extreme high water events also affect the position and health including through altered sediment elevation and also the sulfide soil toxicity. So these are different threats that these have been facing, and storms can also increase damage to mangroves through defoliation and also tree mortality, and they collapse as well. So participation or decreased rainfall and increased evaporation will further increase the salinity and also decreases the net primary productivity and even growth of these mangrove plants. And a very important factor which has been the leading contributor of the degradation or destruction of the mangroves is anthropogenic activities. There are a lot of anthropogenic activities. These have been contributing to the declining the mangrove forest cover. So mangroves are being destroyed, and they are also facing several threats due to problems such as urbanization, industrialization, and even discharge of the domestic sewage and even industrial effluents, pesticides, which are indiscriminately released into these wetlands. And salt pans and aquaculture farming is also emerging as the major threats that these mangroves have been facing. And more than 40% of the mangrove forest in western coast of India has also been converted into farmlands over the last 3 decades, right? So these are different threats that these mangrove systems or mangrove ecosystems have been facing. However, there are some measures which have to be undertaken to ensure that these mangrove ecosystems are protected and they are not further degraded. So there is a need for nationwide mapping of mangrove areas across the country, and remote sensing as a method for mapping mangrove areas can be used, coupled with land surveys and also a time series to assess the rate of degradation of these ecosystems, and quantitative surveys of area, climate regime, rate of growth of forest trees, and also season variations for the environmental parameters as well. So therefore there is a need for conducting quantitative surveys of these different areas. So inclusion of mangrove species under threat in the IUCN for such a, so IUCN is International Union for Conservation of Nature red list. So all these things would help further conservation of sustaining the mangrove ecosystem, which is very important for for its wide variety of benefits which are being offered. And assessment of suitable sites for reserve forests and even artificial regeneration through mangrove nurseries and aerial seeding are the other important initiatives. And joint management of mangroves with the local communities' participation, local communities' engagement is also very important for the conservation and management of these mangrove ecosystems, right? So that's all in this lecture, and thank you so much. If you like our work, please subscribe our YouTube channel and also hit the like button. Thank you.